Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you here. I'm Whitney Ward. An 8-year-old murder mystery is over, all thanks to DNA and forensic genealogy. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office says a skull fragment that was found by a fisherman on the Spokane River in 2018 now belongs to Brett Snow.
Despite not knowing where his body is, 4 people have already been convicted in the murder, as KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk reports tonight.
Brett Snow was reported missing by his family in December 2015. His body has never been found. However, the medical examiner is now saying pieces of his skull were found in different parts of the Spokane River. Those skull fragments sat in evidence storage for several years. The Spokane County Medical Examiner says at the time, limited resources meant that DNA testing was not an option. But last August, the medical examiner received an allocation of American Rescue Plan funds to help identify human remains using forensic genealogy. Investigators worked with Othram, a company that specializes in extracting DNA from small or degraded samples. A DNA profile from the skull fragments was uploaded to genealogy websites. After interviewing family members and comparing their DNA, detectives confirmed the remains belonged to Brett Snow. Prosecutors believe Snow was murdered, then dismembered. Despite not knowing where his body is, 4 people have already been tried, convicted, and sentenced to prison for their role in his death. Othram Labs has played a role in identifying at least 3 people from the Inland Northwest this year alone. In the studio, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
An independent investigation team is trying to find out what led a Spokane County Sheriff's deputy to shoot and kill a man over the weekend.
The County Sheriff's Office says the shooting happened early on Sunday morning near East Broadway and North Dyer. KREM 2 News spoke exclusively with the sheriff, John Knowles. He says 2 patrol units were there to serve a search warrant looking for a wanted suspect when that shooting happened.
They arrived on scene here at about 12:12 a.m. Shortly after arriving on scene, they encountered a male. Gunfire was exchanged between the male and the deputies.
Sheriff Knowles says the man was shot by deputies and given first aid, but died there at the scene. No deputies were hurt in that shooting. The sheriff's office says right now they don't even know the identity of the man who was killed.
They are also not sure if he was related to the suspect the deputies were looking for. Per standard protocol, both deputies involved in that shooting have been placed on administrative leave. A 27-year-old man is in police custody this morning after firing a handgun in Riverfront Park yesterday afternoon. Spokane police say no one was hurt.
According to SPD, that suspect had been arguing with another man when he pulled out a gun and fired 2 shots into the air.
Switching gears to talk weather, the summer heat from the weekend continued into today as we inch closer to hitting 90 degrees.
Yes, let's send it over to our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo, with more on what we can expect this week.
Well, today, tomorrow, and even Wednesday, we're hanging on to some of the heat. A little bit breezy today and tomorrow. And believe it or not, our temperatures still sit on the warm side, mid-80s. But take a look at your relative humidity. With a dew point of 32, our relative humidity sits at 15%. That is quickly approaching that realm where we get into the wildfire concern. Right now, we have a lot of green vegetation, and we're not too distant from some of our rainier weather as of late. But as we head through the next few days, any chance of rain is something we're going to be looking for. We do have a bit of it, but to get there, it stays dry, hot, and windy. Tonight, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, looks like wind will gust at about 20 to 35 miles per hour in central Washington. Here in Spokane, I think we're kind of in that 10 to 15 mile per hour range before things start calming down by Wednesday. Overall, the weather pattern favors most of our activity staying to the south, staying out to the east, and us missing out on quite a bit of it. More sunshine throughout the day tomorrow. We'll see a couple clouds filter in by Wednesday, but it's a couple at that. Then as we get into Thursday, our chance of rain returns. Thursday, I'm thinking it's isolated storms. Friday looks more scattered, and then this weekend looks cooler, but getting there, it's near 90 every day.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. Idaho Governor Brad Little and 6 Idaho State troopers are sharing what they've learned after a trip to the Texas-Mexico border.
KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy met up with the governor in Hayden today, where he announced how he says the trip can also help Idaho.
Governor Brad Little just returned from the Texas-Mexico border, where he's also sent 12 Idaho State troopers to help.
Being a force multiplier for Texas Department of Public Safety.
Governor Little says he and other GOP governors continue to call on the Biden administration to address crime and drug smuggling at the border.
And any chaos on the border gives them a better opportunity to do the bad things they do.
Little says that trip south was twofold, both to help Texas with the surge at the border, but also to learn ways to combat the smuggling of drugs, specifically fentanyl, coming across Idaho's borders.
What do we do to identify basically the latest technology the bad guys are using to smuggle drugs into Idaho, or more often through Idaho?
Trooper Enrique Llerenas just returned from Texas, where he assisted in patrols.
A lot of human trafficking, a lot of human smuggling, a lot of pursuits.
And a lot of drugs. He and other Idaho troopers picked up new skills they'll bring to fighting drug trafficking at home.
Liquid meth compartments in vehicles, hidden in gas tanks, trunks of cars, just everywhere. It's just very surprising where you would find something.
A second team of 6 troopers is still in Texas and will return later this week.
You hear it in the news, you see it, and being able to see it in person is a whole different aspect.
Shannon Mowdy.
Very disappointing and sad.
KREM 2 News.
In the final weeks before a decision on its accreditation, North Idaho College submitted its official plea to the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities.
In that report, board members listed several changes the school has made since March, including intensive training with consultants. Some of the other changes that were highlighted in that report were strides to work collaboratively with the school president, Nick Swain. Now, back in May, the board voted not to oppose Nick Swain's request that a court permanently reinstate him as president.
The NWCCA will meet again on June 23rd to review NIC's accreditation status. A decision could be made by July.
And also over the weekend at NIC, college president Nick Swain won permanent reinstatement in court. Our partners with the Coeur d'Alene Press report that a judge granted a motion, and it affirms NIC cannot place Swain on administrative leave under the terms of his current employment agreement.
In December of last year, 3 board members placed Swain on leave. Swain then sued for reinstatement. In other news tonight, employees at a Spokane Starbucks are now officially part of a union, joining 8,000 other baristas who have also unionized.
Workers at the Wellesley and Belt store won union representation in a 12-4 vote on Friday. Those Wellesley Avenue Starbucks employees filed the petition with the National Labor Relations Board to unionize with Starbucks Workers United back in April.
And according to the NLRB, at least 293 of Starbucks' 9,000 company-owned U.S. stores have voted to unionize since late 2021. KREM 2 reached out to Starbucks for a comment tonight. We have so far not yet heard back.